Hello everybody and welcome to the Ozzimon Library. I'm your host, the Librarian. Now today I have a really cool video for you guys and it's a really interesting one. But first off, I do just want to quickly note that this took me 8 months to do. Yeah, I draw all my own artwork, I don't have the money to hire other people, and I know I'm not a great artist, but it did take me a long time to do this. So I'm actually really glad that I finally can get this out. So let's dive in with today's video. Now, you would have seen, if you're a huge Pokemon fan and you surf the YouTube platform for artists of Pokemon, there are several YouTubers that have done this type of video. Drawing a cat of every type, drawing a dog of every type. Hell, someone's even done a legendary bird of every type. Stuff like that. I wanted to dive in and do something as well. So I decided to go with Honedge, a sword. Literally a sword. Now, Honedge is a steel type, so I won't be drawing a steel type Pokemon for this video because steel type already there. So that leaves me with 17 types to fit in. Now, for drawing a Honedge of every single type, I will be drawing different weapons, of course. I was gonna do different swords, but I think that would just get boring and repetitive. I'm a huge lover of drawing weapons. Just drawing weapons, I absolutely love it. So this fell right in my little repertoire of loving to drawing something. Now, there are a couple rules to this though. First off, I'm going to keep the eye. Now, if you look at Honedge's design, there is an eye there, and I want to keep that in every single weapon. No, there won't be any evolutions here. I know Honedge does have double edge and edge slash, but for me, I'm drawing all of these myself. Some of them I don't feel like would need evolutions, but yeah, you'll see what I mean as we get in. I've got 17 types to run through. Some of them are a bit wacky and weird, and some of them you wouldn't even deem weapons, but there's a few ideas that come along with this. There's some lore and ideas around them. So let's dive straight in and see what you guys think of my idea of turning Honedge into every type. Okay, so our first one is the ground type, and I wanted to go with a flail. Now, I know what you're thinking, ground and flail don't mix, but this is my video and there's a reason behind that typing. Now, the reason I wanted to go with the flail is I think it would have been a lot of fun. Now, a mace would work also, but I feel like as a Pokemon, I think a flail would work better. And besides, a rock type falls under another jurisdiction that's very close to flail, or a mace, shall I say, so I think a flail would work a little better. So, let's talk about the design. I decided to go with some basic, not dull colours, but, a nice simple colour. Now, I did actually make the bottom of it kind of resemble a pencil, because, well, I'm drawing it. Now, the actual eye is on the ball of the flail, or the spiky ball, and I thought it was a really cool place to put it. Not the first time a Pokemon has been separated from something. I mean, a lot of Pokemon do hold their own, hold items. I mean, look at Surfetch'd and Farfetch'd. They literally carry leeks around. But this is where I also thought I came kind of clever. I was going to make a chain, but again, I thought that kind of fell too close to a steel-type Pokemon, so I went with something else. Now, if you look at Honedge's design, he has this, little thing coming off his hilt. Kind of looks like a hand. It's like a piece of cloth. I made that the thing that connects the ball to their handle. Yes, the hand will pick up the ball. It's kind of like a psychic connecting sort of thing, but that's the connecting part to the ball to the actual handle of the weapon is this cloth and hand. So it can throw the ball around. I mean, it is just throwing its own eye, but kind of actually really dark when you think about it. But yeah, that's what I wanted to do. So here it is. I call him Flail Edge. As you can see, I went with some nice colours there, kind of groundy sort of colours for the handle. I made sure that the ribbon cloth was very different coloured to the handle, so that's why it's a very pinky and orange. And then, of course, the flail ball itself, the mace ball, the spiky terror. I tried to keep close to an original metallic alloy sort of colour, and then the eye I kept exactly the same, like I said I would. So yes, this is our ground type, Flail Edge. Okay, moving along, I'm gonna cut through the ones that aren't realistically a weapon of any kind, because there's a few of them. So let's get the weird, wacky ones out of the way. Let's talk about Ghost type. Now, when it comes to Ghost type, my favourite Ghost Pokemon is Gengar, and I adore the Ghost type Pokemon, especially for the fact that they actually possess people, and it's also happened in the anime, so we know it's not weird and wacky. So, this design is actually a doll. I know, not a weapon, like I said, some of them aren't weapons, but I actually had an idea about this. In Kingdom Hearts 3, one of the boss fights in the Toy Story world is a Heartless possessing a toy doll, and that's what gave me the inspiration behind this particular Pokemon, was the fact that it would be a ghost Pokemon possessing the doll. Now, the doll would stand about I'd say about 3 foot something. It wouldn't be too big, but it wouldn't be too small. It's quite cute and cuddly. A kid could have easily mistaken this as a toy. Now, the eye is, of course, one of the doll's eyes. I made sure the other one was a button referencing Caroline, because that's obviously a movie that uses the buttons and it's also quite dark and creepy. The doll itself, I actually got inspiration from a TV show called The Raggy Dolls. I don't know if any of you know that TV show. That is a really old reference. It actually came out before I was born. But Sad Sack was actually the inspiration behind this particular Pokemon. Yeah, I know. That's an old TV show. Anyway, I call this Dollhone. And there you go, my ghost type Pokemon. Now, Dull Edge might be a better name. I'll let you guys pick it in the description. Let me know in the comments down below. Dullhone or Dull Edge? Let me know. And as we continue our little escapade through the ones that aren't particularly weapons, let's dive in to something toxic. Air quote, are poison type. Now, when you think of poison, I literally thought of poison. My first idea was a jar of poison or something poisonous, but that just kept on making me think about snakes and spiders and stuff, and I wanted these to be inanimate objects / weapons. So I came up with needles. Now, before anyone says anything, I know needle isn't a weapon, but my inspiration from this was actually Scarecrow from the Arkham series games. Scarecrow is actually one of the main antagonists in Arkham Knight, but he also popped up in Arkham Asylum, and in Arkham Asylum he had big needles on one of his hands. It was really cool, and that was actually my inspiration for this Pokemon. So when it comes to this particular poison type, the eye is a little pebble thing inside the needle, something that toxifies any liquid it picks up. This particular Pokemon can actually suck up any water, and his little eyeball actually toxifies or poisons the liquid. Yes, it's an actual syringe, and I added a little drop at the end so you can show that it can actually inject people with its poison. When he poisons a particular Pokemon or a person, then of course they are officially poisoned. Now, this Pokemon is actually quite deadly and rather small. I know Klefki is quite small, so I'd say he'd be around about the same size. But anyway, here you go. This is our poison type Pokemon. I call him Hone Point. You know, because of the needle. Yeah, this isn't by any means as heavy as some people may take it. I am just having some fun and designing something. Please don't take this as a way of me, saying, oh, people should use it. Nothing like that at all. I know needle usage is a big problem. I just wanted to have some fun and draw something using a poison type, so please take this lightly. But yes, this is Home Point, the poison type. As our next particular item that isn't a weapon, we're going to normal type. Now, when it comes to normal, my inspiration for this was, technically speaking, Snow White. Someone actually gave me this idea, and I thought it was actually really genius. So, a mirror. I know, again, it's not a weapon. Hang on, we'll get to the weapons real soon. I promise we only have 1 or 2 more left that aren't weapons. A mirror for normal type. What a basic than a mirror. Now, I know there are plenty of basic weapons, but you can actually categorize weapons into many different ways. So I wanted to go something really basic, and I thought a mirror worked really well. So the design around the mirror is just a unique design that I went with. The mirror itself can reflect anybody, but it can also use certain moves using the mirror. This Pokemon would automatically know Reflect as a move, and the eyes on top, making sure that I got the eye in, of course. Now, the mirror Pokemon, again, I just wanted to go something basic. Normal type Pokemon are literally that. Basic things. A cat, a dog, something that eats, something that sleeps. Basic things. So I thought, why not make the normal type version of Honedge very basic? I thought it was actually a pretty good idea. But anyway, I call it Mirror Hone. And there you go, our normal type Pokemon. Let me know down in the comments down below, what particular weapon would you make a normal type Pokemon when it comes to Honedge? Because again, a lot of the time, you could have mistaken it as just a steel type or a fire type or something. So let me know. I'm curious. Okay, time to get into the big things. And I promise you now, every single thing after this is a weapon. I'm going to dive into the one that literally I've just taken the idea off of something and made it into a straight Pokemon. You'll see what I mean now. I'm talking about our Dark type. Our Dark type, again, actually became really hard. But again, an idea was presented to me. What if I turn the Honedge Dark type Pokemon into Soul Edge? It's literally in the name, Honedge Soul Edge. Soul Edge is a weapon in the Soul Calibur series, and it's effing fantastic. I adore the Soul Edge weapon, and I adore Soul Calibur. Maybe out there somewhere there's also a Soul Calibur weapon of Honedge. Who knows? But anyway, I have literally ripped this off, I'm not gonna lie. I drew it to make it resemble it as close as possible. Now, the handle does not look like a proper handle, because I wanted it so it was sprouting darkness but still look like a handle. Then I realized it kind of looks like Upgrade from Ben 10, so I don't actually know, but the handle isn't great here. If that's the one thing I could change, it would be. But yeah, I've literally taken Soul Edge and made it into a Pokemon. I've made sure the eye wasn't exactly in the same place, but I've moved it up ever so slightly, and yeah, I've just ripped off Soul Edge, I'm not gonna lie. Hey, the Dark type was really hard, and there is another weapon we have that's technically a rip-off, but I made it my own design. But this is me literally just ripping off something. I do apologize, but at least I made it look like a Pokemon. It looks pretty cool. It would be huge as well. This is like one of our biggest weapons. This thing would be massive. I decided to go with Nightmare's version, of course. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. And is this a cop-out? So, of course, I can't exactly call it Soul Edge. That would be literally ripping off the name. But then Honedge is taken. Soul Hone sounds weird. So, I guess I'll call it Soul Edge. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, here's our Dark type. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of this one particularly. Am I just too bad for ripping off a weapon? This is the last one that isn't a weapon, I promise, but this is heavily tied into Pokemon lore. So this is our Bug type. This one really had me. I was really stuck here. But then, of course, the idea came to me. What is one particular item Bug type Pokemon trainers use in the games? Bug nets. That is right. Our Bug type Pokemon, when it comes to Honedge, is a bug net. A net to capture bugs. Now, when you look at the Pokemon games, a lot of the time, our opponents that we find spreading across the regions are categorized. We have dads, we have mums, we have bug catchers, we have trainer rookie trainers, we've had meditators, we've had martial artists, we've had cave explorers, all sorts of stuff. But when it comes to the bug catchers, a lot of the time they carry bug nets. So that's exactly what I wanted to do. A bug net. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. This bug Pokemon is actually really good at holding berries and can actually carry more than one berry because of its net property. Now, of course, if you look at the design, I did put a little ladybug sort of like spot on it. I liked the handle being made out of wood, but then I was sat there thinking it looks kind of plain. So I gave him a ladybug. Mainly because my son's obsessed with ladybugs at the minute. But yes, the eye, of course, is right at the top of the handle just before the net becomes a thing. And I did really enjoy designing this Pokemon. And I thought it was really clever that I was managed to tie into Pokemon lore itself. So maybe if you're a bug type trainer, or you've ever seen yourself being a bug type trainer, let me know if you'd use this as your net. On to our fire type. Now when it comes to Honedge as a fire type, this one actually got presented to me and I was very, very stranged. And I found it very odd, but then once thinking about it, I kind of liked it. I chose a sickle. You know, weird little crop tool that kind of looks like a scythe. Now hear me out a second. The Grim Reaper uses a scythe. Now, a scythe would be more like a ghost or dart type weapon, for sure. But the Grim Reaper can send you to hell, or, you know, send your soul to a dark place, link to hell, blah, blah, blah. So I thought maybe that's exactly what this sickle could do. What if it had hellfire properties? That would kind of sounds kind of dope. But I also gave this actually two sort of like uses. Again, the eye is where the blade starts. I had an eye, of course. But at the bottom, there is fire. Not exactly the first time a Pokemon actually has fire, of course, looking at you, Charmander. But one thing you could do is turn this Pokemon upside down and use it as a torch. You know, flaming torches. So this Pokemon actually has two uses. One, it has an offensive maneuver, using its sickle blade, but also has a fire maneuver. I thought that was actually kind of handy. I know a sickle isn't actually mainly used to fire whatsoever, there's no connection there, but that's the whole point of this series, is to think outside of the box. I didn't want to give it to like a gun or a crossbow or something, so I wanted to think and kind of use my brain. So yeah, a sickle is what actually came to be when it came to this Pokemon. I kind of like the idea that you can just flip it upside down and use it as a torch. This is called Honesicle. Yeah, that may not be the best name, but it's still kind of cool. Anyway, that's our fire type. Let me know in the comments down below, do you think I should have went with something that literally produces fire of some kind, wordplay here, or do you think my idea was actually pretty solid? Let's get the starter element out of the way, shall we? Our starter types. So second up is our grass type when it comes to this, and I called it Shurihone. Again, it could be Shuri Edge. Let me know which one sounds better. But anyway, this is a shuriken. Now, of course, you're thinking, well, that makes no sense. But there's two ideas that kind of sprouted to form this one. The first off is Digimon. There's a particular Digimon, Shurimon I actually believe his name is, but it's a grass elemental type sort of Digimon. It's a ninja and it has shurikens for hands. It's a armored Digievolution of some kind in Digimon Adventure 02. It's a really cool idea to have shurikens. I really do like them. And then the second idea is Naruto, Naruto Shippuden, and Boruto all come from, or circle around, the village hidden in the leaves. And they're ninjas, and they use kunai and shuriken. So, why not make the grass-type Pokemon a shuriken? But then I had another idea. Let's make this like Dugtrio, Dodrio, and Magneton, whichever one it is. Brain work. But yeah, I decided to have one big one and two little ones. So it's a big, gigantic grass type shuriken with two little ones that float beside it, and the two little ones can fly off and attack by themselves. This grass-type Pokemon, of course, knows moves like Levitate and things. And yeah, this is our grass-type Pokemon. Let me know what you guys think. I'm actually really happy with this design. I thought it was actually pretty cool. Especially with the idea that I'm kind of working my way around certain weapons, bonding them with types that wouldn't make sense. But the concept that I'm using from Digimon and Naruto, I think worked really well. And we go from making weapons that don't make sense with their elements with a weapon that makes perfect sense. Finishing off the starter trio elements, let's dive into our water type. Our water type is a trident. The eye, of course, is in the middle of the 3 prongs, and of course, a trident is used with a lot of water-based things. Let's use Aquaman, for example, the famous DC hero. He uses a trident. Let's look at some other ocean-themed characters. We have Poseidon, we have Ariel's dad from Little Mermaid, we have, a big anything. When it comes to kings of the ocean of any kind of any media, they have a trident. But this trident is actually very reminiscent for 2 things. First off, another water-based creature that I'm absolutely in love with is Wild Force Zord, the Shark Zord, and Hammerhead Zord. I love their design, so I thought I'd add a shark into it. So I made it look kind of like Sharkpedo, because Sharkpedo is a shark. And yeah, it looks kind of cool. It does look kind of menacing with a big shark, and then the 3 prongs coming out of it. If this ever did evolve, God knows how the shark would be embedded into this. At the bottom, kind of looks like a shark tail as well. So yeah, this is our water type. Let me know exactly what you think the shiny would be here, because I haven't done shinies. I know I never do shinies, but it does actually make me kind of think, what color would it be because it's blue? Maybe I could turn it gold like Aquaman's suit colors. But anyway, this is a trident, of course, so it can do all natural trident-y things, and I'd like to think that this buries itself in the sand at the bottom of the ocean, waiting for Pokemon and Pokemon trainers and Pokemon ocean explorers to pull it out of the sand. If you're able to pull out the sand, then it likes to bond to the person who's able to do so. Kind of like a test of will, so to speak. For our electric type Pokemon, I think this is one that gave me the most hassle. I had no idea what to do here. I was absolutely stumped. An electric type weapon? Sure. But I wanted to be creative with it. Then I started watching Pokemon Sun and Moon, the cartoon series with my son. And something came to me. Rotom Dex is a Rotom possessing a Pokedex, and Rotom is known to possess other things, and it has different types and stuff. So it wouldn't be weird if there was a Pokemon based off a machine. Then the idea got presented to me. What if we changed Honedge into a chainsaw? I call this Chain Edge. This thing is deadly as all hell, and I think when it comes to the most out of control Pokemon, the Pokemon that you could not tame, I believe this would be the hardest one out of all the Honedge versions we've drawn today. This is a pure chainsaw. This is actually holding its own handle because it can't control itself. When those blades start turning, it sparks electricity and can deal massive amount of physical electrical damage. So you might want to be careful when this thing starts wiggling itself around, flailing around, and dealing a lot of damage. It's absolutely monstrous. Yeah, the eye is just plastered on the side. I didn't exactly know where to put the eye, and I thought putting the eye on, the middle part of the blade would be a bit weird, so I just placed it in the middle of, on the side there. It's fine. But yes, our electric type version of Honedge. I'm assuming when you start revving this thing, or when this thing's revved, it'll just go, hone, no, 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 no. It'll just say hone over and over again really fast. Oh no, just a thought I had. Dragon type is up next, and this one I actually didn't have an idea of, but I liked the idea presented. So, it's a spear. I didn't exactly know how to draw this thing, so I went with the dull basic colours that you'd find as a spear, greys, browns, and all that jazz. I gave the spear a nice big blade tip, and of course I gave the bottom something that looked like it could stand on. The eye placement's right in the middle, and I made it look like it was on some form of scales. To add some flaring colour, I did add some orange sort of talon, claws around the bottom of the blade there with some little tassel things. My idea behind the tassels were dragon mustaches, not gonna lie. But anyway, this is actually one of the hardest ones to come up with an idea of what it looks like. Not exactly the idea itself, just the concept was there, just the idea of the artwork was hard. But I managed to get it done. And yeah, this actually is a very basic looking Pokemon, but this is the closest one that actually looks like a main weapon. Like, this literally generally looks like something that comes out of Lord of the Rings, maybe. But this Pokemon is extremely loyal and really favors dragon tamer Pokemon trainers. You know, the dragon type elite trainers that literally only focus on dragon Pokemon? This Pokemon really favors them because it favors the loyalty towards dragons. And you'll also find this Pokemon hanging out with dragon type Pokemon in the wild because it likes to stick around to its own kind. It's a loyal weapon, just like a knight would be loyal to its sword or spear or lance of some kind. It feels like an it likes to make itself feel like an extension to groups of people, groups of Pokemon, or a specific Pokemon trainer. Yeah, let me know what you guys think for this spear. It kind of added different, colors or something. It's called Draco Edge, because I had to put Draco in the name. Next up is fighting type. Now, honestly, this was actually a really fun one to do. There are plenty of weapons used in fighting. I mean, all weapons used in fighting. I meant martial arts, bow staff, nunchucks, sais, tonfas, and all sorts. But then I had the idea of, again, Naruto. Sorry, I really like Naruto, okay? It's my favorite anime. Just let me cook here. So, one of the characters in Naruto is called Ozzimon. He's one of the senseis, and he uses knuckle dusters, but they're bladed, and he can channel his chakra through them to make them extended. It's a really cool weapon, and I think that would be a really cool Pokemon. So yes, our Pokemon this time around is a knuckle duster, a bladed knuckle duster to be exact. Now, of course, a knuckle duster would have 4 holes to put your fingers in, but I replaced one of the holes that you put your fingers in for one of its eyes, so its eye would be there. I also added its famous little tassel, because it needed something else to go with, and I thought it'd be kind of cool. I bandaged a part of the weapon up. I thought it looked kind of neat because I feel like this Pokemon would deliberately attack trees, buildings, other Pokemon to start a fight. Not because it's violent or nasty in a way, because it likes to train, it likes to level up, it likes to keep pursuing, which again I got from Naruto, from Rock Lee. So this Pokemon, if you want to use it, you'd have to be determined, you'd have to be willing to go out and train a lot, and do a lot of exercise, because this Pokemon will keep you on your toes. Again, this Pokemon follows the whole using Hone or Edge in its name, which if you haven't realised, I've been doing every time. This is Knuckle Hone, and I think it's actually one of my favourite Pokemon in this video. And now we go to our Psychic type. Now, the very first thing I thought of when it comes to Psychic is magical balls, mystical staffs, wizards, and all that stuff. Yeah, that's exactly what I did. I call this thing Mind Hone. This is a magical staff. Again, not exactly a weapon, but it could be, especially depending on what type of video games. JRPGs kind of consider these things, weapons. So a magic staff is what I went with. I definitely used the idea of a crystal ball, using the eye right in the top of the ball, but I also added the moon. I added some tree roots, kind of like linking the moon and the mystical ball together to the staff. I think this thing is absolutely awesome. I love the design to this weapon. I think, this and the Knuckle Duster is definitely one of my favourites. Not my favourite, but definitely one of them. Final Fantasy and JRPG games in general, using magical staffs is definitely my inspiration, but also Rita Repulsa from Power Rangers. That also kind of gave me an idea for this weapon. She's not exactly a psychic, but she definitely uses magic in a psychedelical sense when it comes to Tommy Oliver. And have you seen her staff? Her staff's awesome. So yes, I included the moon, I included a magical ball, I included trees. Nature, the moon itself is quite often used in the world of spirits and stuff. Take Avatar for an example. And then mystical balls to play on the whole front that psychic people quite often tell your future using, crystal balls and stuff. And Harry Potter and stuff like this. So yeah, I combined it all together to make Mind Hone. I adore this design. Let me know exactly what you guys would do when it comes to the moon. Would you leave it there, or would you move it to the side so it fits more like Rita Repulsa's staff? I personally like where it is, but I'd like to hear your opinions on it. And now for a rock type. When it comes to rocks, this is what I meant by our ground type weapon is very similar to this if I picked a mace. I went with a hammer. Now my first thought was, hey, let's make this thing look like Mjolnir, but I wasn't going to do that. Instead, I went up with kind of playing around with weapon hammers and tool hammers, and I came up with something really cool. This weapon likes to hunt down specific rocks, crystals, and add it to its collection, sticking it upon himself. Now, the shape and the jewels are actually reminiscent of two things. First off, the Infinity Stones, but second of all, the shape of the Parangezio's helmet. That was my inspirations for the little stones on its body. Now, the back bit of its top half, where the point, that's a sharp end it can use to, like, pickaxe its way through stuff. Then it has a flat surface where it can hammer things. Its eye, of course, is on the hammer. I'd imagined a lot of cave explorers and mountain climbers would use this Pokemon, because it would help them put up tents, it'd help build resources, and mining for things. Back in the older Pokemon games where you had to go through the caves and you had to, wander through and stuff, I imagine this Pokemon would come very much in handy. This Pokemon is also really good at making earthquakes and rock slides, and also knows Rock Smash automatically. So this Pokemon would be really good if you ever got it, and I feel like this Pokemon is actually one of the most handy Pokemon when it comes to the weapons we drew today. Let me know what you guys think of this particular weapon, and would you ever use him if needs be, but not in the Pokemon fighting sense, but just living every ordinary life? Think about all the things you can do with the sharp pointy end and the smashy bit end. He could do all sorts of stuff. I'm just saying, this Pokemon as a tool would be very handy. Okay, now our flying type weapon. A lot of people are going to consider this not a weapon, but actually this is actually a weapon a lot of times. Used in the Chinese War, games like Dynasty Warriors, actually a character in Mortal Kombat has this, and also the Kyoshi Warriors in Avatar The Last Airbender. If you haven't clicked on what I'm talking about fans. This is actually a very well-diverse weapon. I actually got the idea by your three things, and I mentioned two of them already. Kyoshi Warriors, of course, we have Kyoshi, like to use fans in Avatar The Last Airbender. We have Melina from Mortal Kombat. But then you also have certain other characters wielding fans, like the Power Rangers Jungle Fury. Blue Ranger learns how to use the Bat Spirit and wields fans. But the design of the fan itself, I actually got from Aang's airbending tool, the glider, but also there's a character in Naruto who wields a gigantic fan. She's the sister to Gaara, and I also got the idea from that. This fan thing would be huge. It can close up, so it'd just be like an ordinary stick-looking thing, but it can pop open too. I put the eye in the center. I gave it a really pretty tassel as well. It's a nice sort of dull pink. It's very standout-ish, but I also gave a pattern to the actual fan itself, because some fans do, some fans don't, and I thought this would be really cool. This isn't a sharp-bladed fan like Melina's or the Blue Ranger's Bat fan, so I wanted to give it a nice pattern. I gave it a sort of Pokeball-looking-esque. It's not a Pokeball, but you can tell that it's trying to reference one. This thing loves gliding through the air, and has been trying to teach people how to do it as well, similar to Avatar The Last Airbender. It tries to teach people, but so far humans and this Pokemon have not realized or figured out how to do so. Maybe one day they potentially could help people fly like Avatar. Who knows? Okay, personally, I think the last two Pokemon of the video are actually my personal favourites. So we're going to dive into our Fairy-type Pokemon. This actually was the easiest one, second easiest one I ever thought of. Going back to Kingdom Hearts, I love the Kingdom Hearts series, and I love Keyblades. I love designing them. I've designed a couple already, and for future videos, that'll be a series as well. I adored this thing. So, I thought, why not make a fairy-type Pokemon into a Keyblade? And that's exactly what I did. The blade itself is all pink, and I gave a butterfly wing for the blade. I thought of Butterfree, and how beautiful that thing is, and I thought of the fact that butterflies, fairies, all that sort of stuff are very reminiscent to the fairy type. So I went down the whole pink butterfly route. The handle itself has the eye on it, of course, and then keyblades always have a keychain. And the keychain always has a resemblance to wherever you got the keyblade from. For example, the keyblade you get from the Nightmare Before Christmas world will have 0 the dog on the end. So I picked a Pokeball. I mean, that just seemed obvious to me. I don't know about you guys, but that just seemed obvious. This thing is triumphant, and it's very strong. This Pokemon is all about the heart, and it doesn't like when trainers don't listen to their heart and don't listen to their own ambitions and what they want to do. If the Pokemon trainer ever doubts themselves or, doesn't take its own, their own step to becoming their own goals, then this Pokemon doesn't like being around them. They stick with trainers who go off and do their own thing and are willing to do anything that it takes to become their own. This Pokemon is a Keyblade. I know this is the Pokemon I was talking about back when we were talking about Soul Edge. I kind of took a Keyblade, but at least I made this one my own design. It's a very basic one, but it's a fun one. Let me know what you guys think about using a Keyblade here as a fairy type Pokemon. And what type would you make the Keyblade if you could change the type? So the fairy type weapon was called Hone Key. Because of Keyblade. This one's called Levy-Hone. And I wonder if you guys will click on what I'm talking about before I get there. This is actually my favourite weapon out of the entire video, hence why it's last. It's the Ice type weapon, and this is the first weapon we drew when it came to this video. I wanted a weapon that I could resemble something that wasn't Naruto, Digimon, or Pokemon itself. Kingdom Hearts also. I resembled that a lot throughout my entire video. So I wanted to pick one weapon that stand out and that was resembling something else. I used Soul Edge, of course, but I ripped that off completely. I wanted to use something based off a weapon. So I took an axe. An axe that can be flung across the battlefield, swung around. I gave it a nice dark blue tassel with some grey on the end. It does have some ice built around the blade. This is, of course, resembling the Leviathan axe from God of War. This is absolutely fantastic. I love the idea and concept behind this axe. This Pokemon is very cold, and I don't mean temperature, I mean hearted. And only a Pokemon trainer can make it feel loved and feel like it's worth something. Just like the journey Kratos goes through in God of War 2018 and God of War Ragnarok. This weapon is so fun to use in those two games, and I wanted to make a Pokemon resembling it. So that's exactly what I did here. As you can see, it doesn't look exactly like the Leviathan axe. I made the blade a lot wider and longer. I also made ice permanently built onto it. It also didn't have this hair tassel thing coming off on the other side of the eye. I also made the handle pure wood, which in the game isn't. So yeah, that's my ice type Pokemon, and it's based on the God of War axe. Let me know what you guys think of this particular one, because out of all of them, this was the first one I drew, and it's my favourite one. And it's so damn cool. No pun intended. Okay, there we have it. We have all 17 types, and a Honedge to fit all of them. This was a really big project, and one of the biggest videos I've got so far. I have several videos planned and upcoming I can't wait to share with you guys. Some of them quick and simple, like my Ghost Freak redesign, and some of them big and long, like this one. Thank you ever so much, guys, for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed. Now, I actually do have a team here. Not a team for the artwork's all mine, but I do have a project team. A team that I can go to and help with ideas, because I'm the only one here. And a lot of the time, sometimes I need help. So, this team did help with this video, and this is the first video this team actually did bring upon. I'm going to shout them out. Now, they do actually have their own socials. Check them out in the description down below. We have Jordan, who came up specifically our Fire-type Pokemon. We, of course, have Cosplay Dude 637, who's my Power-type business partner and best friend. He helped come up with our Rock-type Pokemon. Then we have Dakota. He actually helped come up with a couple of them. And we have A-Crown, who also helped come up with a few of them as well. A lot of the people I just mentioned actually came up with a few ideas, but I specifically wanted to pinpoint out the ones I remembered. Those four and will continue to aid the channel and when it comes to the ideas, and the group's actually gotten bigger with 2 more members. So there's now 6 of them. I've also now got a group chat going on, and they're helping me with an ongoing project that you'll see later on down the year. I cannot wait for this team to continue and further aid me. Again, check out their socials down below. A lot of them are content creators on TikTok and YouTube, so it'd be great if you helped them out as well. That being said, thank you everyone for tuning in and checking out this video. Like I said, the artwork is all me. So if you enjoyed the artwork, all the ideas behind the not so good artwork, then hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss another video. I've got a few different types of videos planned. Some of the videos you've already seen, I've already got doubles of, but there's some new videos coming along your way as well. But until then, I hope everyone is okay. I love you all. Roar of passion, and I shall see you guys real soon.